morning, everyone. So, this is, I think, for me, one of the most exciting sessions, purely and mainly because retail media needs no further introduction. We don't need to talk about how important retail media is, but what we do need to talk about is how we can position retail media as a growth engine and a real growth engine in all the operators that it exists in now. And I'm really looking forward to putting it to the leaders in the space. Sakshi, you represent one of the leading platforms in the space. I know you've been doing a lot of work in educating brands, working closely with the likes of Chirag and Faheem, you as well from the luxury brand side. I'm going to kick it off by setting the scene and just letting you give a one-line answer, if you can, on redefining retail media through the customer, redefining customer experiences in retail media by bridging insights and engagement. How would you define retail media's role in enhancing customer experience in MENA? Start with you, Sakshi.
Okay. So I think what retail media does perfectly is it bridges the gap between discovery and purchase. It makes the customer journey very efficient and a lot more personalized. So,
Hello everyone, good morning. I think it's more to do with the evolution of the retail media rather than being mature. Because for every retailer, every brand, it's quite different, and the dynamics for example, for Chanel Group, it's completely different than the way it works for Noon. So I would say both brands, retailers, agencies, everybody's evolving to get to the right place.
Hi, good morning everyone. So I think the way retail media is enhancing customer experience is that one, definitely that from inspiration to transaction is something that's very important because like I think someone mentioned that you start getting SMSs for blue or you start getting SMSs for I might be an FSLR customer and do send messages. So I think it makes it more personalized as well. So if I log into Noon today and if I'm not seeing what I'm shopped from or what I would typically shop from, then I don't think retail media is doing the job of enhancing this customer experience. And that I think is a very important part of changing the way retail customer experience should evolve on specifically on your on-site shopping apps.
Going into expectations and demands of shoppers and customers, Sakshi, I think you'd agree that customers now want more personalization than ever before, and that's what they value, that's what they come back to the platform for. From what you're seeing doing at Noon, what are the region's consumers expecting, and how are you seeing this evolve?
So I think now customers are expecting very personalized experiences. They are looking for very culturally and seasonally relevant products and services. They are expecting that they come at the right price within the right kind of delivery timelines. Quality should be taken care of. So they need a whole ecosystem of products and services which are made for them. So even the on-site experiences, they don't want to see anything random. It has to come in, come in as recommendations, which are a lot more personalized in nature, leveraging the data. So retailers and the brands who are working with them really need to leverage the insights that are coming in, be it the seasonal insights or a personalized search-driven insight or the browse history. So everything has to come in together for it to work well.
Thanks. And how are you seeing this
personalization definitely works, but in luxury space, it's more of friction or disruption rather than what you're going for, because a lot of time the consumers have made up their mind what they are going to shop. So what happens is retail media plays more of an awareness or referral role rather than conversion. And too much personalization does not really work, because whenever you're advertising, just keep one thing in mind, that you're always advertising in front of a marching army. So people do see your ads, but if you become the annoying ad, then it's not what people want to see. So from luxury point of view, you have to keep a good balance.
And Chirag, so you're right in the middle of all of this.
Yeah.
One side you got brands, you got the operators, the retailers. What do you have to share? What do you think customers want here?
I think so. The way like with the growth of retail media, I think what's happening is that everyone wants to reach that transacting audience. They want us to sort of target a consumer, which is obviously the expectations on the performance versus consideration versus what Faheem just mentioned. That you can't be too annoying as well in terms of the number of times that you're reaching out to the same consumer and how are you tracking conversion. But I think more important is that we as a group, as publicists, we are also looking at defining the role of retail media and that creating those segments, like people walk by, like we identify that people who would be late night shoppers, with quick commerce coming in, people who would what time of the day during what time of the day do you get the maximum conversion, and then build tools or have automation in place to flight media at that time. So personalization becomes very important, and yes, the working with partners on the retail side as well as with brands and using whatever data they can share with us, building solutions which then that can bridge that or those ecosystems is very important. I think.
Yeah. And as so going straight from that, as we talk about bridging ecosystems, how are insights or customer insights, shopper insights, how are they shaping moods in retail? Great question.
So for Nude, right, the insights actually fuel what targeting capabilities we are using, what are the browse signals or the data signals saying about our customers, and we leverage all of these insights and data that is coming through different touch points on the app to reach to the right customers. For brands, that's very important, and that's how with every brand there is custom planning that happens. Their objective can be different. So to meet each objective, we define how they can use data and then leverage the targeting, messaging for the customers so that you're reaching them at the right time with right messaging and right creativity as well, so that it hits the goal with them.
Brilliant. Faheem, in the luxury messaging space, how does this differ, if at all?
I think it differs completely. It's the complete opposite, I guess. It's not that we don't use insights and data. We do use. We have obviously all RFM mapped out for audiences and groups like Shinduk Group. Obviously, the shopper is luxury, but they're quite a lot in number, because the group goes back to 1945 or 1950 when they started, right? So the data is there. Again, it goes back to you don't want to disrupt too much. Emailers, CRM, SMS becomes a core part of your retail media and not so much of the splatter ads. And also setting up very clear expectations for the brands, because the brand's tone of voice, the way their banners are seen, all of it needs to be very relevant to the audience that is on the site or in store. To the point, we have some stores where the store manager will actually walk with the customer to their home to install a painting, which is worth like $30,000, right? So it needs to be very, very specific.
that's ultra personalized, right? Chirag, you're shaping strategies, you're educating brands, you're holding hands with the retailers, helping them capture more and more of this revenue. How do insights shape the strategies that you're putting forward at Publicis?
So I think they shape it into forms like if we don't have those insights, I don't think any brand would want to spend it. And even in our partnership discussions with the retailers, obviously with retail media growing, everyone wants to get that dollar spent from you, right, and take it from the other large digital publishers. All retail media networks want to do that. But if they don't have those insights, then it just becomes another digital publisher. So if I don't have those transacting signals, or if I don't have who are in market, which product when, what is the basket size, can I target them offsite, then it doesn't really translate into anything different from what the biggies of the world, digital tech world are already doing. So I think that's very important to have those insights. And yes, like for example, we as Publicis, we partner, we have with Amazon, we have a tool called Publicis Warehouse, which is actually combining their vendor central, their ads dashboard, as well as their AMC, which is their clean room solution, into one, which is targeting not only through the media signals or media, but also the retail part. So at an SKU level, which SKU can you sort of invest more on to get more profitable? We do that with with clients like Barstock. So those are the kind of signals that we are expecting to partner with various partners on, and they definitely shape anything that we do today, right? That as well as on quick commerce going big. How can quick commerce then become more relevant off-site as well, not just on-site, and use their signals to targeting non-endemic categories. So that's very important.
Yes, as we go into more endemic categories, it brings us to the next topic, and this topic is probably one of the most important topics when it comes to retail media, at least within retail organizations. And it's how do you use retail media to capture that upper funnel brand spend opportunity? And in many cases, I think I've been wearing a CMO hat, which I'm not, to explain how we can create a business here to capture this upper funnel budget, how we can move away from just performance, how we can answer those questions of why it makes sense to spend more that potentially eats into the supplier's P&L. How do you go into this space and succeed? Sakshi, let's start with you. How do you use, or how do you position Moon's retail media platform to capture the upper funnel brand spend?
Interesting one, right? What Moon does, right, within the ads ecosystem, there are a lot of opportunities which are not just on-site. So there is an on-site vanilla offering, which is your display banners and the video ads, which can happen online. But what we are doing in a differentiated manner is offering gamified experiences on-site, which we can customize for brands as well. That's one. Second is our audience solutions are very deep, and those are specific things that we can create for the brands. Third, there are offline activations that can be there. So you can partner with Noon to reach out to Noon customers through Facebook, Google, and have your brand play in a part of it. Then there is offline activations which are BTL and ATL in nature. BTL could be you want to send sampling to Noon customers, or you want to send flyers, or you want to reach the customers through the back branding or the box branding. All of that is possible through. There is also we have digital boxes incorporated within the Noon Bites now, so that also becomes an out-of-home medium. So there are different ways in which we are enabling brands to not just reach the customers when they are at the point of purchase, but to create a larger share of mind and awareness. So that plays a very important role, specifically talking on the non-endemic side of things, because that's what I'm leading at. And even previously, with Amazon, I was taking care of the non-endemic side of things. What works is the relevant audiences that are present on these platforms. These are transacting audiences that everyone wants to catch hold of. And when these brands leverage retail platform, they get very relevant visits on their websites, which have actually shown to convert a lot better for them in later on. So that's one thing that has worked very well, specifically in sectors like banking, travel, real estate, education, automotive. They've actually worked well. Even media and entertainment players work very well with us. So
Yeah, I hope someone took notes there. Whoever's trying to capture that upfront brand spend, they were golden words. Maybe you're at a slight advantage where upfront brand spend is huge in the world country, but what differences do you see?
I think for luxury space, it's more to do with the capability of the teams in-house. Because media buyers mostly sit within the brands. And then dedicated teams within agencies, they have been doing the same for specific brand themselves or the retailer. And because they have a lot of insight on how or what kind of awareness media will work, that's where the advertisers will benefit. And also, it always goes back to the brand and if it's relevant or not for them, right? So a new trendy skincare brand is very likely to work well on TikTok, hence more recommendation for that channel in the media mix. CPMs are lower in Pinterest these days. It's a homeware furnishing brand. That's the channel that's going to play a key role there. But I mean, most of our media works within paid social, lots of YouTube. I think it's internal expertise. Plus, there are obviously some custom conversions and custom metrics that we built in-house to say ROAS for that specific brand or purchase for that specific brand can be passed as a specific custom conversion back to the platform and then hence to be optimized so we report back on ROI. Obviously it's more towards to deliver on the promised ROI if a brand wants ROI, but as I said earlier, I think it's important and crucial to have the right KPIs in place and mostly starts with awareness. So
That's really, really insightful. Right. So back to the agency side, everyone's looking towards you. How do we capture that upfront brand spend? How do you advise your clients on how to do this?
So I think capturing the upper funnel spends from the retailer side, right? How do the retailers? I think again coming back to the whole point is that where are the insights? Like what is the data differentiation that the retailers can bring to the table versus what's already existing, and then also solutions on that. So like what Sakshi was mentioning, that if there is a non-endemic client that we have, but can we use people who are buying in a specific category and make that relevant for that non-endemic client, whether it is in the financial services space or whether it is in the auto space, and then use those, those are transacting consumers. There is a sort of history in terms of what they purchase, how much they purchase. You can build a profile of that, and so that's one. And lately, what we've also started doing is that we understand that retail media is not just about conversion. So when we also speak to brands and speak to clients, we tell them that they need to look at retail media not as something that is only ends at a loss. There are other, which is very difficult, and that's
Absolutely, absolutely.
and also I think partnering with the retailer directly helps on that, because then they are able to help us build that story or the narrative. But I think again, coming back to that, create the ecosystem on I don't know if recently I had seen some Bitcoin startup partnering with, I think Noon Food, right? And that was like and with a pizza player. So that was, so that is the solution, like, you look at it, like you have a lot of doing that. So those kind of solutions are helping build it that's retail media can also be a brand equity builder and not just a conversion channel.
Crypto is really making the most of retail media. They're bypassing all the restrictions they have outside. So, continuing with you, Chirag, looking at it towards the next couple of years, what do you think will drive the growth of the next phase of retail media in the region specifically? What do you think will really unlock the next growth phase?
I think one thing that like I'm looking forward to is how, if TikTok Shop was to come in the region, then how does that play out for a lot of brands? Because I know brands will just sort of latch onto it, and I'm sure like Faheem will have another point of view on this, because for them it becomes all the more relevant. But we already have brands who are asking us that what do we do on TikTok Shop? How do you go about doing that? Because in other markets we have a very evolved TikTok sort of practice specifically for TikTok Shop, because that's how big it has become in markets like the UK and Southeast Asia. But so I think that is one on the social commerce side. And I don't know, I do not have too much of a point of view on the whole agentic commerce piece, but that's what everyone on LinkedIn is posting these days. So that's I don't know how much of substance behind the hype, but
Okay, so you bet on shoppable video.
shoppable video, definitely, yes, and also how other retailers like an Amazon DSP exists, how do other retailers also build their own offsite solutions, which will help brands further capitalize on the retailers capitalize on the upper funnel spends, because if you don't have offsite solutions, the branding budgets or the monies that are much larger than the retail spends, you'll never be able to capture that. That's one.
Okay. Faheem, what do you see as driving innovation in the space?
So many things, right? So paid partnership, live shopping, prompt to campaigns. You can, go on and on. But I think for me, it's going back to basics. If you, as a retailer or marketplace, consider brands or advertisers' money as your own, as if you are growing your own brand, that's where the growth happens, because you will question every single dollar that's being spent. So treating advertisers' money as your own is the way to go.
Okay.
So, for me, it will be AI predictive analytics. It would also be customized solutions that can be built for the brand, and proactive commerce, which will have video commerce incorporated into it. So all of it is going to redefine how the next wave of retail media will be defined.
Okay. So, if I was to wrap up of all the great things we heard today, what's going to drive better customer experience? It's all the way from personalization, shoppable video, interactiveness, and really keeping customer experience at the forefront of everything, becoming customer obsessed, which I think is one thing that everyone can do better at. And I don't think we're there yet as a region on being customer obsessive. So that's a really great takeaway to leave everyone with. Let's have one or two questions for our time.
So I have a controversial question for you. So the thing is, we actually heard today since morning that like most of the retailers in the market have now opened up their first party information to everyone, right? Like to the brands, through all this ad tech partners. And brands on the other side are now leveraging this audience to drive the full funnel, okay? Static awareness. The question to the panel over here is, how can it be more like unanimous across the entire landscape? For example, when I drive a upper funnel, which is awareness, I'm not just saying that, okay, make a purchase on Noon, make a purchase on Landmark, make a purchase on any other retailer right now. Okay, the idea is it's an awareness campaign. But can I ensure that if I'm driving this targeting, if I'm doing a targeting on awareness right now, but if the shopper is converting anywhere in the retailer, across the retailer landscape, can I get a measurement of that? And will that be the future for us? Or how can we do that? It's more like democratizing the data across the landscape.
So I think it's an interesting one, right? From a brand standpoint, it's actually the right question to ask. Now, have all the retailers gone ahead and made their data available? I don't think so that is happening. Yes, that's one. To your second question, right, on when you're doing a brand campaign, it can then be one dashboard which shows there's an improvement that happens X on one platform A, B, C, and D. Right now, I think there will be some time to it. Till there's still a journey to it. I think media agencies can play a very important role there to get that going for different touch points that you guys are engaging in. From a brand standpoint or the retailer standpoint, there will be still concerns in terms of data privacy and how much you can be exposed to. But every retailer can support, for their format and give you the data for their elements. And it's more majorly for the brand, right? It's easier for the brand to know what retailer actually helped get that incremental sales from once you get that ATL campaign. So that's how it's going to be working. But it's also a function of what offers you're giving on each retailer. So it's a lot more complicated, and that's how it's going to redefine which platform works better for you.
Like, not look at it from a transaction standpoint, but maybe look at it from a then when you will get that customer, why do you want to only check that whether, because then the conversation will again come back to us, right? And you might as well say that, okay, at least you captured that customer, and that brands also want to do brand-led studies and MMM studies, so these such third-party studies. So I think it can be captured, but I think as Sakshi said, unless and until all retailers are going to be creating one sort of an agnostic model, otherwise, or a clean room solution which has multiple retailers data available. But it could be the future.
Anyone else? One more.
No, I'm just adding on to the panel's point here that I think standardization should be the key in the long run. But since I come from a retailer myself, I work for Amazon for all these years, so the amount of data that Amazon has to provide today through AMC and all that depth I think more the retailer provides. So I think that could be like a benchmark kind of a thing to start with, and then if a platform comes up which gives him a data as exhaustive as what AMC has to provide today, that's when Rahul's question would be answered.
I think retailers also don't want to do that. Like who converts better on food versus Amazon? So I think the depth of that data that Amazon has, how much time will it take for you to get that data, and then becomes the point of price, all those things. So I think it should not be looked at as conversion, but looked at as customer acquisition. Maybe.
So I think there's for everything to integrate, right? Amazon has its own way of operating, and they draw a lot of things from the right? These are solutions that were built for global markets, and then they got here, right? So it was easier to within the local players that are there. What we are doing is we are working with brands in a personalized way to get them access to certain kinds of data. It may not be shared with the brands, I don't think that's the way we will be going, because there's a lot of approvals in terms of data. We are also very conservative with how and what kind of data we are open to sharing publicly. So that's another thing that's drawing this. And integrated data, it's the right thing to ask for as a brand. I think there are at least 3 to 4 years away from it, and I'm not even sure whether it has happened in any of the global markets. So that's where we should draw our inspiration as well from.
May I ask, so Beesdorf, right? You represent Beesdorf, right? So your question is more on when you spend on Noon versus Amazon versus another marketplace, where?
No. So what happens is typically we have vertically already, like we're running a campaign under above it, just say time awareness. And we recently we have also started leveraging the first party data from the few retailers that we are using to be used to able to target them on the above the line.
On your own ad accounts.
On our own app. So the thing is, but when these shoppers are, say, predominantly converting the same retailer who has given us the first party information, we get tracked. But assuming that it's not going to be as democratized, and shoppers are definitely not loyal to what we want them to be loyal. Okay, so the thing is, they might have got converted into some other retailer who might have it. Okay, but we don't have the measurement. So how do we look into that as a democratized approach? I know it is not possible across the other markets, but I believe this market can become a kind of a first.
Okay, so look at the incrementality that we're seeing across different platforms, right? We're running that ad, and if you're not doing anything differently across different platforms, it's very easy to track incrementality that you're getting for that particular product. So it may not be in the most organized format, but this is something which I don't think would be very difficult, at least in terms of the conversions to brands, because you have your data point for conversion for each of the platforms.
Maybe I can add just one last thing. Sorry, can I? One thing that you can probably do is have a different assortment between different retailers, right? So if you have a different assortment and then you are advertising different assortment differently on different media channels, then this might be one of the ways to do it.
I have to thank the leaders here from their respective places for coming and sharing really, really valuable